The ballroom glittered with golden chandeliers and the soft hum of classical music, but for 12-year-old Lily Hart, it was a world wrapped in silence. Her father, the powerful billionaire Charles Hart, was hosting one of his grand charity galas in New York City, a night meant to impress the city's elite. Men in tuxedos exchanged business cards, women in shimmering gowns laughed over champagne, and photographers darted through the crowd, capturing every dazzling moment. Yet in the midst of all the noise and glamour, Lily sat alone at the edge of the marble staircase, her small hands folded in her lap, her eyes fixed on the floor. She had been deaf since birth. And tonight, as always, she was invisible. Though Charles loved his daughter fiercely, his world of wealth and influence left little space for the quiet patience Lily needed. He hired the best tutors, bought the most advanced hearing devices, and even arranged for speech therapy, but nothing could replace the connection Lily longed for, a connection she almost never received. Guests smiled politely at her, then quickly looked away when they realized she couldn't hear them. They whispered, "Poor child," and moved on, unwilling to try to communicate with her. Across the room, Emily Carter, a young waitress working the gala to pay for her college tuition, noticed the lonely girl. Emily was 22, studying special education and working 2 jobs to make ends meet. As she balanced a tray of sparkling drinks, she couldn't help but pause when her eyes met Lily's. There was something haunting in the way the child's gaze drifted between people, searching for acknowledgement that never came. Emily knew that look. Her younger brother, Jake, had been barn deaf. She had spent years learning American Sign Language, ASL, just to talk to him, to give him the comfort of being understood. Seeing Lily's isolation felt like watching Jake all over again, the aching loneliness of being present but unseen. Taking a deep breath, Emily set down her tray and knelt in front of Lily. Gently, she tapped the girl's shoulder so she wouldn't startle. Lily lifted her head, startled anyway, her big brown eyes meeting Emily's. Then Emily smiled warmly and signed, "Hi. My name is Emily. What's your name?" Lily froze. For a heartbeat, she simply stared, as if unsure whether she had imagined the movement of Emily's hands. Then her face lit up like sunrise. Slowly, shyly, she signed back, "Lily." It was the first time that night anyone had spoken to her in her language. From that moment, a quiet friendship bloomed. Emily asked simple questions: "Are you having fun? Do you like the music?" And Lily responded with a flurry of excited signs. Her hands moved quickly, her eyes shining with relief. For the first time in hours, she was seen. But their brief connection did not go unnoticed. Across the ballroom, Charles Hart spotted his daughter laughing silently with a waitress. He frowned, unused to seeing Lily so animated. Pushing through the crowd, he approached, his commanding presence making guests step aside. "Is everything all right here?" Charles asked, his voice deep and sharp. Emily stood quickly, nerves fluttering in her chest. "Yes, sir. I was just talking to your daughter." Charles glanced at Lily, who eagerly signed something to him, something he couldn't understand. The sight made his chest tighten with guilt. He loved her more than anything, but he had never learned her language. "Not truly. She knows sign language," Emily explained gently. "She's been telling me about her favorite books." Charles's eyes softened with surprise. "You a broken bar, you can speak to her?" "Yes," Emily said. "I grew up with a deaf brother. Your daughter is incredible. She just needs someone willing to listen." For the first time, Charles looked at his daughter not as a challenge to overcome but as a whole persona, bright, intelligent, and yearning for connection. He knelt beside her and tried awkwardly to mimic a simple sign. Emily demonstrated, "I love you." His fingers trembled, but Lily's face lit up with joy as she repeated the motion back to him. That small gesture cracked something open in Charles's heart. He had built empires, negotiated billion-dollar deals, and conquered boardrooms, but he had never taken the time to learn the one thing that truly mattered to his little girl. The following weeks were transformative. Charles hired Emily as Lily's private tutor, not just for academics, but for sign language. He began taking lessons himself, carving out time every day despite his relentless schedule. Slowly, father and daughter began to communicate in a way they never had before. Their home, once filled with awkward silences and missed glances, blossomed with laughter, clumsy signs, and heartfelt conversations. But the journey wasn't easy. Charles struggled with the patience it required. He stumbled over signs, frustrated by how long it took to express even simple thoughts. Lily, after years of feeling unheard, sometimes withdrew, afraid this new effort might fade like all the others. Emily became their bridge, encouraging both to keep trying, reminding them that love was worth the work. Months later, at another charity event, Charles stood before a crowd of investors and dignitaries. But this time, Lily stood beside him. As cameras flashed, he proudly introduced his daughter using sign language, his movements slow but steady. The room fell silent in awe as Lily signed back, her smile radiant. For the first time, she wasn't a quiet figure in the corner. She was the heart of the evening. Emily watched from the side, tears blurring her vision. What had started as a simple act of kindness, a conversation in sign language, had changed an entire family. The night ended with Charles thanking Emily publicly, his voice breaking as he said, "She gave my daughter a voice and gave me the courage to listen." The story of the billionaire's deaf daughter soon spread far beyond the glittering halls of high society. Parents wrote letters saying they had begun learning sign language for their own children. Schools invited Emily to speak about inclusion. And in homes around the world, people were reminded that the most powerful language of all is not spoken, it is the language of love, patience, and understanding. Lily no longer lived in silence. Not because she could hear, but because someone finally chose to listen. And it all began with one waitress who refused to look away.